The British Watchmakers Day is just around the corner, and today we're meeting the team from Crystal Ward. We will have an exclusive look behind the scenes, including hands-on with the most limited edition Bel Canto, seeing how they service watches, and Mike France will reveal the biggest change that has come for the business in the last decade.
We're not giving away secrets. No, as ever, we've got quite a few surprises up our sleeves. The initial idea for British Watchmakers Day, we knew we wanted a physical manifestation of the Alliance and bring people together. This gave us the opportunity to do so. Alistair Audsley brought to the table the idea of the Record Stores Day, which is a special day in the UK when independent record stores have artists produce singles just to be sold on this day in those independent record stores. Could we create something that was as special as that day is to the record industry for watches? And I can't remember who had the idea of having limited edition watches created for the day. It's possibly me, because it sounds like the sort of thing I might come up with. But we collectively came up with this idea. We thought, what could we do that nobody has ever done before, that would make potential collectors of British watches salivate at the thought of coming to this very special day? What better to have several brands, and quite a few of them now, producing watches just to be sold on that day. I mean, I'm getting excited thinking about it now. So, and from us through Studio Underdog, through Ferrer, the brands they just bought into the idea superbly well, which is one of the things that separates this part, our little part of the watch industry in the UK, is separated by this sort of cooperation and collaboration, and the enthusiasm and the innovation that goes in creating these sorts of things. And I don't think anybody else could possibly do it. And it's another, if you like, another example of why all that was needed was some sort of way in which these people could collectively come together and demonstrate to the world what they're capable of. And what better way than producing individual watches? I think it's going to be stunning.
We're incredibly fortunate that we have two large communities attached to the brand. So we have the CW Forum and the CW Enthusiasts Group. And I mean, it's such a fantastic attribute of the brand that those groups exist, and they're completely self-run. We're not involved with it as a brand, and we work really closely with them. So whether that's giving them special previews of new products that are coming, every year we invite some of them over to the office as well, so we can really give them a view of what's coming down the line. They can meet the team, get really close to CW and really understand what's going on, so that they can then best, answer questions or, whatever they sort of want to kind of bring to those groups. They have all of the information they need. They're phenomenal. I mean, they've actually created an archive of every watch we've ever created, completely off their own bat. I mean, it's such a dream as a marketing team to have such loyal and dedicated fans. So those groups are incredibly important to us, and it's all about how can we keep adding value to them and bringing value to them and giving them something back, because they're so loyal to the brand. Everything about our mission is about being accessible to all. This business was founded on the mission to make premium watches available to everyone, and it's really important that as our brand has grown and maybe we've brought some slightly more expensive watches to the market, we continue to produce watches of all different genres that will address all different price points as well. It's really important to us that everyone can find the right CW for them, and that doesn't change, especially as we continue on our journey and start bringing even more products to market. It's always front of mind that accessibility and putting a watch on everyone's wrist is very much at the heart of the business.
As you know, we're an online exclusive brand. That's how Crystal Ward came to be. But we couldn't keep the watches away from the people. People arriving, knocking on the door, wanting to get closer and experience them firsthand. Back in the day, we weren't quite set up for it, so it sort of evolved over time to what it is today. So essentially, if you're interested in viewing, coming in, seeing us, you'd go online, typically book an appointment slot or give us a call and we discuss what you're interested in. You'd be welcomed by myself or my colleague into the showroom. It's a relaxed, open environment where we have all the watches on display. It's a very hands-on experience. You can change straps, swap out bracelets, different dial colors can be viewed, and all that sort of thing. So it's not anything behind glass and gloves. It's very, organic.
We were the first direct-to-consumer watch brand to sell premium watches online. And so a lot of our focus is very much through digital channels. So the website is very much our storefront. It's where you can find out everything about the brand. And so it plays a huge role in everything that we do in marketing. And then we really try and build upon that through offline experiences too. So whether that's through events, and we're doing quite a lot of those in the US in particular this year, just allowing people to get closer to our products because we know it's important. These are pieces that people spend a lot of time thinking about and spending a lot of time deciding which one's the right one for them, and it's important they get a chance to also see the product too. So we lead first with digital, but we make sure there's plenty of opportunity for people to get hands-on with the watches as well.
We get customers travel from anywhere between 2 hours and further afield in the country, but quite extraordinarily, last week we had a customer fly all the way from Pittsburgh to visit us. Said it was his first time in the UK and his first stop from airport was Christopher Ward. Majority of people do come in with an idea of what they want to take away, but of course having so many options and distractions, you can go down all these rabbit holes. So it's not unlikely that you'd walk away with something that you completely unexpected. Of course, when you've made your decision, all the fitting and adjustment is made perfect for you. We can personalize with engraving, and usually with the watch being in stock, you can walk away with the watch.
We're really grateful that we have such an amazing product team in the business. So a lot of the product team also sit in our Switzerland office in Biel. They're kind of split between Maidenhead and Biel. So a huge part of the relationship is the product team really downloading all of that detailed information to the marketing team so we can work out how do we best tell the stories of this watch. And every watch we have has more stories than we can probably tell. So it's always an interesting conversation around all of the technical information, all of the detail that they obviously live and breathe and, can educate us. Although we do actually have some watchmakers in the marketing team as well, which is very helpful. That's how the relationship sort of works. They bring all their technical expertise and then we try and help turn it into something that can be sort of digested and easy to understand as well. Although our audience definitely loves all the detail, so you don't want to cut out too much of the important technical stuff.
Whenever a watch does get sent in for either a service, which we suggest every sort of 5 years, the watchmaker will essentially strip it entirely apart. Every single component will be checked for wear. If the component isn't completely spot on, it will be changed. Then it will be, while it's stripped down, it will be completely cleaned of all previous lubrications that have been put on it. And then the watchmaker will build the whole movement back up. Again, checking any components for whether there was wear that was missed due to, when a watch is really old, sometimes the oils and greases kind of become a bit thicker. So sometimes they're quite hard to get off. So if you don't notice it on the first inspection, after it comes out of the cleaning machine, usually you check it all again just to make sure that you haven't missed anything. Yeah, so then the movement itself is completely built back up with whatever new components may need. New lubrication, so usually use about 4 or 5 different lubrications in a watch movement. Then if there's any new components needed for the dial or the hands, they'll be put on there, and then the watch will be put on test. So the whole service process usually takes about a full day for the movement, but then there's usually about a week of testing. Some of the other companies I've had experience with, they do a thing called sequential servicing, which means that it could be a quantity of maybe 5 watches are all serviced at the same time by the same person, and the components can be sort of mixed in together. And so essentially you might not ever get the exact same watch back with slightly different components. But the way we do it is we have 7 watchmakers, and each watchmaker takes care of this one client's watch from start to finish, and making sure that the service is as perfect as can be.
I think because we're such a community-driven brand, it's really important. I think marketing can really help always represent the community and our customers and bring that voice, and the product team can push the boundaries and bring ideas to the table that no one will have thought of because, that's what they're there to do, and they do a brilliant job of it. I think things like Bel Canto are just such a great example of, as Mike will always say, it's the story of 4 young men, that watch. And I think the people in the product team really want to challenge what's been done before. They're not afraid to take risks. And I think you then see that come out in the product.
The very clever interpretation of the Union Jack that's so subtly in the background of the Platine. It's just a really subtle. We don't kind of drape ourselves in the flag at Christopher Ward. It's not our style really, but that sort of subtle interpretation kind of does it for me. I also like the new time-telling element, because it's apart from the Roman numerals, it's kind of easier to read. I think if there's one design element of the original bel canto that I would improve, it would be that, and that's what we've done. So you're getting a very, very special watch.
We're really proud of Loop magazine. I think we've had some form of magazine in the brand really from the beginning, but we launched Loop in 2016. It's completely created in-house, so we have an in-house editor who works on the magazine every issue, and then we might bring in other writers for different topics, and we really try and make it a mix of things not just around the focus on watches. We also focus on lifestyle pieces. We focus on things like arts and culture, maybe some architecture, and we found that actually our readers, if you're into watches, often you're quite a curious person, especially, if you've sort of discovered our brand. We tend to find our audience is very curious. So we make sure we feed that with lots of different areas. So in there, you might find anything from a recap of film noir photography through to a really detailed piece on our, in-house movement. So we really try and vary the content every quarter. We love creating something that's tangible. I think, especially if you're a lover of beautiful watches, I think there's just something great about something physical in your hands. So I think it's probably unusual that in some senses we're very digital focused and then we produce, a traditional print magazine, but I kind of love that juxtaposition of our brand. And we're a very literary brand, I would say. We love to tell stories, and Loop really allows us to tell stories, and they're not always about watches, but we just love to tell stories and to hear stories too.
We will be showing lots of other watches from our collection. We won't be showing things that are coming later, of course, because that would be not right to do. But I think one of the things that we're doing is we've also got a watchmaker's bench there. We will be assembling a bel canto at the watchmaker's bench on the day, and I've got a feeling that there are going to be a few people interested in seeing that, because it's a very special watch in its own right, but it's a complicated watch to assemble. And of course, we've had to become pretty expert at it. So I think people will be absolutely fascinated to be able to see how one of our watchmakers assembles a bel canto.
It's going to be a really special event, and there will be myself and another watchmaker there taking apart bel canto, hopefully, and showing people sort of a bit of an idea of what actually goes into it and the size of the components. And so yeah, it'll be really good and a little bit interactive. And if anyone's there, come over and say hello. We'll endeavour to ask or answer any questions.
This year is a big year. It's our 20th anniversary as the CW brand. So we have lots of exciting plans around how we're going to celebrate that. And there's definitely going to be a big party, which I'm sure we'll be inviting everybody to. So that is a big focus for this year, is how are we going to celebrate 20 years of CW, and alongside that some very exciting watches that are also launching this year. So really building on the watches and the launches we've had in the previous couple of years, and hopefully bringing some more new and exciting things as well, and celebrating that 20-year mark, which is a huge milestone for the business. And there's been a few great milestones in the last couple of years, so a lot to celebrate for sure.
As ever, we've got quite a few surprises up our sleeve. Coming out in the end of April, a very remarkable watch that will, I think, get people extraordinarily excited by our capabilities. And then beyond that, we've got some humour coming through summer. In August, people should foreshorten their holidays, if they're taking holidays in August, to make sure they don't miss out on the launch at the end of August, because it is amazing. And then we've got a much more potentially expanded bel canto offer coming in the autumn. I mean, and that's just some of it. We like newness. Newness drives enthusiasm, excitement, and sales. I think the team here do an amazing job of producing year in, year out some really exciting watches, and hopefully, touch wood, 2024 is not going to be any different to any of the previous years. So if I'm excited, I hope other people, and I'm genuinely excited. And by the way, we'll be, for us as a business, this will also be the year that we say goodbye to 1 Park Street, sadly, which has been our home for more than a decade now. We love it, but because we're growing at such a rate, it no longer, we're almost at triple-decker desks. So we'll be moving into a new HQ, still in Maidenhead, and we'll be showing people as the environment develops, taking them literally or certainly virtually with us into that new office. So it's going to be really, really exciting year for us, I think.
Tickets for the British Watchmakers Day are unfortunately sold out, but we will be there on the day and interviewing a lot of other watch brands, so make sure you subscribe and don't miss out on our coverage of the day.